They fired me yesterday. They fired me. Good work. It's good work. Honestly, it's good work. It's dangerous because you're careful, but it's good work. Your team, and at the end of the day, you look back and see the results of your work, and they're pretty. To my eyes, they're pretty.
I'm Tim Richardson, Ironworkers Local 377. We can't keep up with the cost of living. 1997, we were making $27 an hour. Now we're making $6 an hour more. I paid $1,200 a month rent then. I'm paying $3,500 now. I can't afford a house. I can't afford to live where I'm working. And our unions don't seem to be wanting to do anything for us. With our assessments on our vacation pay, for example, there was only certain amounts that came out, handling fees and things. And now it's taxed in many different ways, a lot of different fees coming out. Now they're assessing us in our own local, which is something a boomer's supposed to do. Then they take $1.87 an hour out of our annuity, and they move it over into the benefits package, and we can't keep up. We're at the bottom of the rung making money, and they can't build these buildings without us. We put the structure up, everybody else comes in. If we quit working on the job, everybody is stuck. No one can move. They tied our hands in the first place by saying we can't strike. Somewhere back in the day, they moved that into the language of the contract. This is a non-sanctioned strike. They tell us each wage increase period that in 3 years from now we can do something about it. And if 3 years us to death, it'll last 15, 20 years. So we're taking measures into our own hands. We should be making more money than they do in Fresno, in Sacramento, in Los Angeles. This is the highest cost of living pretty much in the world. New York is right there with us, but they make twice the money. Chicago, it's very, very inexpensive to live there compared to here. And they make more money than we do. They have better negotiators, stronger unions. They've got us. It's demoralizing them. I could live off of 2 of my paychecks, pay all my bills, and have money left over. Now, I can't live on 40 hours a week, plus my wife has to work. And we're still struggling to get by. And she makes as good money as I do, and we still have a hard time making it. Ironworkers is the most dangerous job in the world, especially if you take structural out of it. There's rod busters, structural, deckers, welders, and they group us all together. But if you take the structural alone out of the ironworkers, that independent segment is the most dangerous thing in the world. They talk about crabbers out on the oceans. They talk about firemen being more dangerous. No, not more dangerous than a structural ironworker. I've broken a lot of bones in my body, tore my shoulder up, wrist surgeries, hernias, back injuries. And I know of no other trade where a person suffers so many physical disabilities as you do in the ironworkers. Now they're going to make it so that our pension credits are harder to get. You need more hours to get it, and you have to be older to retire. It's crazy. How many 80-year-old ironworkers do you see on the job? At best, they're in their 40s. A few in their 50s, you might see a couple in their 60s. But it's a young man's game. And if they want to keep this union going, they need to give us more money on our check. My father was an ironworker, all my uncles, my cousins, and in-laws and outlaws, there's about 40 of us, most all out of Local 1. And the women in my family married ironworkers. They're just all ironworkers. And they were very strong when I was growing up. They didn't put up with this stuff. They got things done, and it's our turn to try it here. When work was very poor in the Bay Area, the ironworkers were sucking hind tit in order to get a job. They were happy to work. They were thankful. While wages were staying stagnant and costs were going up, at least we had a job. We had no power. We had no choice. You can't strike when there's no work. What good does it do? Now there's work. Every crane is working in this city. We're getting cranes from out of state to keep the work going. And it's the biggest boom in the history of San Francisco. And we're going to sit back and suck hind tit again? I don't think so. I didn't get the Longshoremen's Act or the Jones Act working for me because I was not on a pier. And a bridge is 2 piers that meet in the middle. And I learned during that experience that there were several ironworkers that had gotten hurt on different bridges around here, and they couldn't get the insurance company for the contractors to pay the Longshoremen's Act or the Jones Act. And it wasn't right. But if you were a longshoreman, they take care of you. Ironworkers, expendable. I was a foreman on a superstructure, raising gang foreman. And yeah, had a lot of fun until I broke my wrist. My father is Bobby Ray Richardson, Local 1, Chicago. He started in the 1950s. Very strong man. Grew up picking cotton in Alabama. At 14 years old, he ran away from the cotton fields to work in factories in Chicago. At 20 years old, he learned of this job called Ironworkers. He started making more money than he ever made in his life, and he felt it was easier than what he had done in the past. but he stayed strong with the union till the day he died. Paid his dues, went to meetings, helped organize, and ran rats off of jobs in the 60s and 70s. And they had the power to strike. Where's our power? They snuck it in a contract somewhere. Yeah. A lot of good men on that job, though. Yeah. It was very safe.
That's a great bridge. That's our what you call
our identity for the Bay Area.
Yeah, I worked out there 3 or 4 times. I go back there in a minute. I love the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, I worked out there for Balfour and Beatty. I worked for the Bridge District, and I work for Danny's Iron out there, and they're always doing something to it. But I love that old bridge. That bridge has a great spirit on it. Ironworkers are like the Marines of construction. We hit the beach, head, blaze a path, and then the other trades come follow behind us. They probably don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. We come, put the rebar in the foundation, we put up the structure, the man lift, the deckhand, the crane. And we should be paid as much as the other trades, yes.
We're being paid the same as a Marine. What are you griping about?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think they make more now. I think even the street sweeper makes more now, all right? The boy at Safeway definitely makes more. You could be a checker at Safeway and make more than me because you're working all. They make $32 an hour, but they're working all the time.
Well, I'm out here supporting that. We had a Wildcat strike in 1999. The carpenters did, over the exact same issue, a sellout contract. And in our case, we didn't even have the right to vote on it. In this case, from what I understand, they have the formal right to vote, but the way the vote is worked, it's a rigged election, because they don't vote directly on the contract. But anyway, the main thing is, I mean, prices are going up and up and up for everything, from gas, rent, food, and the wages are staying the same, because the union leadership has all swallowed this idea that we have to help our, quote, employers compete with the non-union, which means we as workers have to compete with the non-union workers for who can work for less. But what's the purpose of a union then? The whole purpose of a union is to get rid of that sort of competition. It's already successful, because no matter what happens in this contract, if they get everything they want, the very next day, the contractors and the union leadership will be conspiring for how to get some of it back for the contractors. So the main thing is to build a movement to change the union. And the only way that can be built is in the process of the struggle. So this is the first step in that direction, just like it was in our Wildcat in 1999. In our Wildcat, and every leaflet we put out in English and Spanish. And one thing that happened as a result of that, then our union started translating stuff into Spanish. If you look on their newspaper, I mean, of course, what they write is bullshit, but it has something in Spanish. Our contract, which is not a good contract, they have that translated into Spanish and also into Chinese. So, you know, that was one outcome of our Wildcat strike. Well, what they've done, and this is happening with all the unions, SEIU, you know, the carpenters, all of them, is they've built these huge locals that are, and contract areas that are like, in this case, the contract includes all of California and Arizona, as I understand it. So what the effect of that then is not to bring the weaker areas up to the level of the stronger areas, but to bring the stronger areas down to the weaker areas. So if they're going to have a big wide contract area like that, what they should have written into it is that if any one area votes no on the contract, everybody has to go out, rather than the stronger areas being overwhelmed by the weaker areas. That's what business union is the union leaders to think like the employers, to accept the ideas of the employers. And the first and foremost idea is we have to help our employers compete. That's the essence of it, isn't it? That or what they call the team concept, that the union and the employers are on the same team. And it doesn't matter, we're on the same team against the non-union, or we're all on the same team against the Chinese or the Mexican employers or whatever. And this is the practical consequence of it. Part of it, they're feeling the pressure of prices going up. And part of it they're seeing they've got full employment, so it makes them feel powerful. That was the same with the 99 Carpenters Wildcat. I talked to a guy yesterday who travels from Salinas here. So he said it takes him at least 2 hours every day, each way. So that's 4 hours out of his day. Never mind the gas. What's being raised by leadership, what's being raised by them is we have to help our employers compete. In other words, what they really mean behind all of that is we want to keep bringing in the dues money. And you know what they say about, well, we have to sacrifice right now for the future and all of that stuff. I mean, at least it's mistaken. It's a total disaster. But at least you could say they're serious if they would be willing to sacrifice too. But at the same time as the members are sacrificing, they're cutting the fat hog.
Supporting the strike here, supporting the lads, heard about this. I'm in San Francisco for a few days, heard about the strike, so we came down to help out. I'm in the trade union movement in Ireland, in Dublin. Building industry has collapsed a lot in Ireland. A big fall in building industry. Office construction is down, housing construction is down. So, yeah, there's been big strikes in Ireland. Well, I don't know enough about the unions' future. I can tell you about the Irish unions. Because the leadership of the unions are useless. They're in the pockets of the government. The government want to cut the wages. The unions go along with
somebody.
What's that?
They're useful to somebody.
Well, they're useful to themselves. Their own. They look after each other, you know. But they don't represent the membership anymore. They're not democratic structures. It's a bureaucracy that's outside the ordinary experience of workers. They have a comfortable life. Go to work at 9, finish at 5. That's the end of it. They don't support the workers. They don't defend. You know, it's not a democratic structure. So when workers want to go on strike, it's not their interest that's being followed by this crowd. They follow their own interests.
Both jobs, okay.